Relax. In the next 10 minutes, you will learn real business English. The kind people use at work, just by listening to a simple story. Don't translate, just listen and read. Let's begin. This is a story for intermediate learners, level B1. I will speak slowly. The story is about Maria, who has an important job interview today. Listen for the business words in bold on your screen. Maria had been stuck, not in a bad way. Her job was fine. The people were nice, the office was small and cozy, and she knew exactly what to do every single day. But that was the problem. She knew exactly what to do every single day. No surprises, no challenges, nothing new. Maria worked as an administrative coordinator at a small logistics company. She handled scheduling, answered emails, kept the office organized. She was good at it, really good, but deep down she felt like she wasn't living up to her potential. She wanted more. She wanted to take on more responsibility, work on bigger projects, and really make a difference somewhere. She talked about it with her friend Dana one evening over coffee. "I feel like I'm just going through the motions," Maria said, wrapping both hands around her mug. Dana looked at her. "So, why don't you look for something else? You've been at that company for 3 years. You've learned everything there is to learn." "I know," Maria said. "I guess I'm just scared." "Of what?" Maria thought for a moment. "Of putting myself out there? What if I'm not good enough?" Dana shook her head. "Maria, you're one of the most organized, thoughtful people I know. Any company would be lucky to have you. You just have to take the leap." That night, Maria went home and opened her laptop. She started browsing job listings, something she hadn't done in years. Most of them didn't feel right. Too small, too far, not the right fit. But then she saw it. A job posting from Norwood and Associates, one of the biggest consulting firms in the city. They were looking for an operations manager, someone to oversee day-to-day processes, coordinate across departments, and help the company scale up its internal systems. Maria's eyes lit up. It was a big role, bigger than anything she had done before. But as she read through the description, she kept thinking, "I've done this. Maybe not at this level, but I know how to do this." She felt a mix of excitement and nerves. That feeling in your stomach when something both thrills you and scares you at the same time. She went back and forth for a few minutes. Should I apply? What if I don't make it to the interview? What if I do? Then she remembered what Dana had said. You just have to take the leap. Maria clicked apply. The next few days felt like nothing happened. She checked her email constantly. In the morning, at lunch, right before bed, nothing. She tried to put it out of her mind and focus on her regular work. She wrapped up a few pending projects, helped onboard a new intern, and sat through what felt like the world's longest Monday morning meeting. Then, exactly 1 week after she applied, an email arrived. The subject line read, "Interview invitation. Operations manager position, Norwood and Associates." Maria read it twice, then a third time. They wanted to meet her. The interview was scheduled for Friday at 10 a.m. She immediately texted Dana, "I got the interview." Dana replied in seconds, "I knew it. Go get it." Maria was happy, genuinely excited. But the excitement came with a whole lot of anxiety. This wasn't a small company. This was Norwood and Associates. They had offices in 4 cities. They worked with Fortune 500 clients. This was the real deal. She knew she had to be at her best. She wanted to stand out from the other candidates, not just blend in. What makes me different? She asked herself. Why should they pick me over everyone else? She decided not to leave anything to chance. She had 4 days to prepare, and she was going to use every one of them. On Monday night, she researched the company. She went through their website, read their mission statement, looked at recent news articles about them. She found out they had recently landed a major contract with a healthcare company and were expanding their operations team. That's why they're hiring, she thought. They're growing. They need someone who can keep up with that growth. She wrote notes in a notebook, key facts, important names, recent projects. On Tuesday, she worked on her resume. She tweaked a few bullet points, made sure her language was strong and specific. Instead of saying, helped with scheduling, she wrote, managed calendars and logistics for a team of 12. Instead of answered emails, she wrote, served as the primary point of contact for vendor communications and internal coordination. Details matter. Word choice matters. On Wednesday, she started thinking about the interview questions. She knew the common ones. Tell me about yourself. What are your strengths? Where do you see yourself in 5 years? But she also wanted to be ready for the harder ones. She practiced out loud, talking to herself in the mirror. It felt a little silly at first, but it helped. She got more comfortable hearing her own voice say the words. On Thursday night, Maria sat down with a cup of tea and had a real conversation with herself. What am I actually good at? She asked out loud. She thought about it seriously. She was organized, extremely organized. She could juggle multiple tasks without dropping the ball. She was calm under pressure, or at least she could appear calm even when she was stressed. She was a good communicator. She knew how to deal with difficult people without making things worse. Those were her strengths. But she also had to think about her weaknesses. Not the fake ones. Not the classic interview trap of saying, my biggest weakness is that I work too hard. She wanted to be honest, but also strategic. She thought about it. Sometimes she took too long to delegate. She liked to do things herself because she knew exactly how she wanted them done. That could slow her down in a larger team environment. That was real, and she had a plan for it. She was actively working on trusting others more, giving clear instructions, and following up without micromanaging. She wrote it down. She practiced saying it out loud. She also prepared a list of questions to ask the interviewer at the end. She had learned that asking good questions was just as important as giving good answers. It showed that you were engaged, that you had done your homework, and that you were thinking about the role seriously. By the time she went to bed, she felt ready. Nervous, yes, but ready. Friday morning came. Maria woke up early, made coffee, and got dressed carefully. She chose a navy blazer, a clean white blouse, and dark trousers. Professional but not stiff. Confident but approachable. She left the house 30 minutes earlier than she needed to, because she was not going to be late. She had mapped out the route the night before, and even looked up the building on Street View, just so she knew what to expect when she arrived. She got there 15 minutes early, which was perfect. Not too early. She didn't want to seem anxious, but early enough to settle in and take a breath. The building was impressive. a large glass lobby, a reception desk with a logo mounted on the wall behind it, people in suits walking in every direction, coffee cups in hand, laptops under their arms. Maria walked up to the front desk. "Good morning," she said. "I have an interview at 10 o'clock. My name is Maria Santos." The receptionist smiled. "Of course, I'll let them know you're here. Please have a seat." Maria sat in a sleek chair near the window. She looked out at the street. She took a slow, deep breath. "You've got this," she told herself. A few minutes later, a man walked out from a hallway. He was in his mid-40s with a warm smile and a firm handshake. "Maria, good morning. I'm James Holloway, Director of Operations. Thank you so much for coming in." "Thank you for having me," Maria said. "Please follow me." He led her to a conference room with a round table and a view of the city. There was water on the table, a notepad, a printed copy of her resume. They sat down, and James got right into it. "So, tell me about your background," he said, leaning back slightly in his chair. "Walk me through your experience." Maria took a breath. This was her opener, and she had practiced it. "Sure," she said. "I've spent the last 3 years working in operations at a logistics company. I started out managing administrative workflows, scheduling, vendor coordination, internal communications, and over time I took on more strategic responsibilities, like streamlining some of our processes and onboarding new team members." She paused. "I'm someone who really enjoys figuring out how things work, and then figuring out how to make them work better." James nodded. "I like that. Can you give me an example of a time you improved a process?" Maria was ready for this. She talked about a project where the company's scheduling system was causing constant bottlenecks. Meetings were being double booked. Deadlines were getting missed. She noticed the pattern, proposed a new system, trained the team on it, and within 2 months, the error rate had dropped significantly. "I didn't just flag the problem," she said. "I took ownership of fixing it." James looked impressed. "That's exactly the kind of initiative we're looking for." Then came the harder question. "Tell me about a time when you had a real problem at work," James said. "Not a small inconvenience, a genuine challenge. How did you handle it?" This was the question Maria had been most nervous about, but she had prepared for it. She didn't panic. She didn't stumble. She took a moment to think, just 2 or 3 seconds, and then she answered clearly. She talked about a situation where a key vendor had suddenly pulled out of a contract 2 weeks before a major event. Everything was at risk. Her manager was away. She was the one who had to figure it out. "I immediately reached out to 3 backup vendors we had on file," she said. "I put together a quick comparison of their rates and availability, and I had a recommendation ready for my manager within 4 hours. We went with a new vendor, negotiated a fair deal, and the event went off without a hitch." She leaned forward slightly. "The most important thing for me in that moment was not to freeze. You can't always control what goes wrong, but you can control how you respond." James looked at her. "That's a great answer." They talked for another 20 minutes about team dynamics, about her management style, about how she handled feedback. Maria asked her questions. What does success look like in this role in the first 90 days? How does the operations team collaborate with other departments? What are the biggest challenges the team is currently working through? James answered each one thoughtfully. He seemed genuinely engaged. At the end, he said, "Do you have any other questions for us?" "Just one more," Maria said. "What are the qualities you've seen in people who really thrive in this company's culture?" James smiled. "People who take initiative, communicate openly, and don't wait to be told what to do. People who see the big picture but aren't afraid to get into the details when it matters." Maria smiled back. "That sounds like a good fit." They shook hands at the door. "We'll be following up with candidates next week," James said. "We'll be in touch." "Thank you so much, James. I really appreciate the opportunity." Maria walked out of the building and into the morning sun. She exhaled slowly. She had done it. She had walked in nervous, and she had walked out feeling like herself. Calm, confident, prepared. She had been honest, specific, and real. She hadn't tried to be someone she wasn't. She texted Dana on the walk to the subway. "It went really well. I feel good about it." Dana: "Told you. Now don't check your email every 5 minutes, LOL." Maria laughed. Too late for that. The following week was a slow one. Tuesday passed. Wednesday passed. Maria kept her phone nearby, but she tried to stay focused at work. She reminded herself that no matter what happened, she had done her best. That was all she could control. Thursday afternoon, her phone rang. Unknown number. She answered. "Hello, may I speak with Maria Santos?" "This is she." "Hi, Maria, this is Jennifer from Norwood and Associates. I'm calling on behalf of James Holloway." Maria's heart was pounding. "We were really impressed with your interview," Jennifer continued. "And we'd like to offer you the position of operations manager." Maria sat down. "That is, yes. Yes, absolutely. I'm so grateful for this opportunity." "Wonderful. We'll send over the offer letter by end of day. We'd love to have you on board by the 1st of next month." "That works perfectly," Maria said, her voice steady even though her hands were shaking slightly. "Thank you so much." She hung up. Then she sat quietly for a moment. She thought about the night she almost didn't apply. The fear, the self-doubt, the voice that said maybe you're not good enough. She was glad she hadn't listened to it. Maria took a deep breath, picked up her phone, and called Dana. "I got it." Dana screamed so loud Maria had to pull the phone away from her ear. A few weeks later, Maria walked into the Norwood and Associates building, not as a candidate this time, but as a full-time employee. She had a new badge, a new desk, a team of her own. She was nervous. Of course she was. New jobs are always a little scary at first. But she was also excited. She was ready. She looked forward to every challenge that was coming her way. Because this time, she wasn't just going through the motions. She was building something. And that's the story of Maria and her fresh start. Let's review the business English from the story. To take on. More responsibility means to accept more work or a bigger role. To stand out, it means to be different in a good way, better than others. Your strengths, Mon, are the things you do well. Your weaknesses are the things you need to improve. To deal with. A problem means to manage or solve it. To come up with. An idea means to think of it. To follow up means to contact someone again later. To look forward to Something means to feel happy about a future event. Great job! You just learned real business English from a story. If this helped you, subscribe in the channel and see you next class.